Just that's, we prior to that we prayed a blessing. That I hope you prayed that over one another. That is a blessing that we pray over one another. And I want to encourage you, we must learn to pray a blessing over one another continuously. God's favor, may it really be upon you and your children and your children's children. Because let me tell you, who's going to rule and reign in the millennia? Hello? Yeah, the children will be there. Our children's children. For a generation and 1,000 generations thereafter and all eternity. So may we never become discouraged by the things that are happening around about us. May we dance with joy like this, because greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. Right. Anyone with something they want to share? Well, this is the 8th in this series on the permanent God, and we've had a look at different topics. We first had a look at the speaking God, and then we had a look at the seeing God, the pursuing God, and then the God, the providing God, and how He wants to provide for us, and how He does provide, and He can even in the future supernaturally provide. And then we had a look at the giving God, which is actually different, but in any case, and then we had a look at the hearing God. Many of us talk about learning to hear His voice, but He actually hears us. None of your prayers hit the ceiling, by the way. He hears and He listens, but He doesn't always do something about it. That we learned last week. But today we're going to look at the restoring God. Who needs restoration in their lives? Who needs in their body? Who needs in their marriage? Who needs with their child? Who needs with their spouse? In what area do you need restoration? Do you need restoration in your finances, in your business? In what area do you need restoration? Today we're going to look at the restoring God, because I serve a God that is a restorer. And you serve a God that is a restorer. However, I think we need to have a balance in this, because we live in a day and age that is not favorable towards men and women of God. We read in John 10 verse 10, says, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay? Then it says there, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Jesus says, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full or abundantly. However, Satan has come to ensure the opposite, to kill, steal, and destroy. Correct? Now, anyone that has party to stealing, killing, and destroying is part of a satanic agenda. Hello? Hello? Right? That is why I have the audacity and the cheek to say 99% of all government officials or presidents, hello, are part of a satanic, godless agenda. If you bring a lockdown that destroys economies, businesses, livelihoods, people from being able to eat, because the Bible says if you cannot work, you cannot eat, you are part of a satanic agenda. And I say that to every president in the world today. If you have locked down your country, you're part of Satan and his agenda. You have submitted yourself to his godless agenda. Hello. And that is the truth. The problem is we are too scared to say it, but it is the truth. It is a satanic, godless agenda that they bring in about eventually to bring a one world controlling government, one world controlling dictator who will become the Antichrist. But it is part of God's plan. He knew this is coming. That's why we read it in the scriptures. Therefore, you and I do not need to fear or become dismayed by it, but we need to understand this is part of the reality. Yet can God still restore? That is the question, even in this day and age. And my answer to you is yes, I do believe so. In Isaiah 43 verse 18 to 19 it says, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you perceive it? I'm making a way in the desert and streams in the wasteland. And I want to encourage you, forget the past. Forget yesterday. Forget what has taken place, what you've lost, what you haven't lost, or the things that have broken down in your life that you yourself have destroyed maybe. Forget that. Let it go and say, okay, Lord, I ask you to do a new thing in my life, in my marriage, in my family, in my business, in my finances, whatever that is in your, everyone's different. But cry out to Him and say, Lord, I ask you to do a new thing. And that you would come and make a way in the desert. Where there seems to be no way for me, I pray you would make a way. Where there, in this wasteland, that you would come and bring streams of living water. Where my finances are shattered, that you would just financially, supernaturally provide. And will He? He's a restoring God, hence He can. Will He? Well, cry out to Him. He's an all-powerful God that owns the universe, as we have come to learn that. Now, when it comes to the Bible, I wrote it on screen there. When it comes to the Bible, as I would understand the definition of restoration, restoration is synonymous with repairing or with healing, abundance, and returning to its previous state of being, or even better. And any loving father wants to give his children better even than what they had. Isn't it? Any loving parent wants their children to be better off than they are. In all aspects, isn't it? And it's the same with God the Father. He wants to restore what the locust has eaten in our lives. He wants to restore any brokenness. He wants to bring healing. But we need to cry out to Him. But he actually doesn't just want to do that. He wants to give us even better. Because He's such an incredible, good, kind, loving God. However, Satan all the time will come and try and break down what He's doing, what He wants to do in our lives. But the question is, are we going to submit to that agenda of Satan? Are we going to let him rule and reign in our lives? And I want to encourage you, never allow that. It is so easy for us to, I cannot beat this. No. Our lives may be shattered. It may be broken, but God can restore to even greater glory than its former glory. Because that is a restorative God that we serve. Probably one of the greatest stories in the Bible is, who would you say is the greatest story in the Bible of restoration? Let me see who you guys say. Job? Anyone else? Job's a great guy, yeah. I think he's probably the greatest restorative story in the Bible. If you understand a little bit of his life, he's loving and serving God, and Satan says to God, let me sift him, and you will see he will curse you to your face. And he says, no. And he sifts him, and God allows Satan to sift him like wheat, to bring tremendous financial loss in his life. Hello? Loving lost. He lost his whole family. Hello? He lost his whole family. He lost financially just about everything. He was oozing with sores. I mean, Satan went at him with every single little bit of arsenal he could. He went with him. Yet Job never cursed God. He still chose to love God. What a man. What an incredible man. What about you? What have you lost? What has been taken from you? If you lose everything, even your spouse, your children, will you still love God? Will you still serve Him? Will you still call out to Him? If you lose every little penny you have, no safety net anymore, nothing. Will you still love and serve Him? If you can say yes to that, then you're a man of faith. And that is what He wants to create within us, faith that is unshakable. And may we have a faith that does not shake no matter what happens round and about us. We read in Job 13 verse 15, he says here, though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. I will surely defend my ways to his face. God says, Job says, and God is not the one that slays us. Hello? And he says, I will never, ever curse God. And may we be like that. May we never doubt in the love that God has for us. And even if God allows certain things to happen in our lives, may we not be shaken by them. Satan went with everything that he had, tried to destroy Job and Job's commitment to God, yet he never got it right. Because his faith, his hope, his love for God was not based in the accumulation of assets. It was not based on his those around him, his loved ones, his family, his children. It was based on his love for God, that he just adored him. Clap. And that's how our love must just be, I love you, God. With or without anything. If I just have you, that's enough. And that is how Job was. In Job 42 verse 12 says, the Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the first. He restored Job. What he had lost, he restored to him. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. Hello. If you farm, you know if you've got like 250, you are fine. You can take care of it. Just cattle, you can take care of yourself and your family easy. No problem, right? Here he's got thousands. Hello. He was a meneer financially. He had fortunes. Donkeys. I mean, look at it. All of that. Incredible. Sheep. Oxen. Donkeys. Camels. I mean, God had given him. He even gave him a family again. Because he's a restorative God. And may we say, Lord, just as you restored Job, will you restore me in this area of my life? You might even choose to be greedy, only joking. I encourage you. With God you can be. Say, Lord, I want to be restored in this area, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I ask God then, will you bless me indeed in this area, and in this, and restore me in this, and this, and this? Because you must remember, the more you blessed, the greater can you be a blessing to others. Do not become close-handed. Sadly, some people do. May we not be like that. Job 2 verse 25, it says here, I will repay you for the years the locust has eaten. Joel 2:25, did I say that? I will repay you for the years the locust has eaten. In some of our lives, Satan has destroyed certain areas because we submitted to his agenda, or maybe we didn't. But it says there, the great locust and the young locust, the other locust and the locust swarms, my great army that I sent among you. Sometimes God allows certain things to take place in our life, but he says, I will restore to you what has been destroyed. And I would encourage you to trust God to restore the brokenness in certain aspects that there might be in your life, or in your home, or marriage, or business, or finance, whatever it is. You trust God and call out, and you see what great works he can do in your life, just like that. But you need to cry out to God. And some of you have experienced it in your business, where you call out to him and say, Lord, I don't know what to do in this situation. I don't know where to turn in this situation, but I turn to you. Would you come and show yourself strong in my... And he will open doors that you never dreamed possible. He'll give you ideas that you never even thought you had. And you'll think, sure, I'm not creative yet. He gives you this, and he gives you that, and he brings the right people on your paths. Revelations 21 verse 4 to 5, it says here, I will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain. For the old order of things has passed away. Verse 5, it says, He who was seated on the throne said, I'm making everything new. Now, I'm well aware of the context of this passage. What I'm wanting to say is that there's an old order, and we are basically in this order. Okay? But it says there will be no more death. So in this order that you and I are living in, unfortunately, tragically so, we are going to experience death. We are going to experience mourning. We are going to experience crying and pain. But God says there, for the old order of things has passed. There's going to come a day where those things are going to be an end. He's going to bring an end to that. How awesome is that? Okay, there will be no more of that. Then he says, he who was seated on the throne said, I am making everything new. And there's going to come a day that he's going to make everything new. And those things that we suffered and went through will be a thing of the past. However, I believe that we can ask God, will you come and make this area of my life new? Even now, even in this order, would you come and make this new in my life? And he can do it because he's God. And he's a restorative God. However, we must also know that these are part of, sadly, the experiences that we will endure because of the order that we're living in. Because he's allowed Satan for a time. And that day will come where he will bring an end to it. And he said, enough is enough. And he will come. And there will be Armageddon. We will be taken up. Armageddon will take place. And we will rule and reign with him throughout eternity. And there will be no more death. There will be no more mourning. There will be no more crying. There will be no more pain. There will be no more financial loss. There will be no need because we'll have everything met in him. How awesome will that day be? But in this order that we're living in, we need to understand that's part of life. But even in that, we can cry out to him and say, will you come and make this area of my life new again? And because he's sovereign, and because he's a restorative God, he can do that, just like that. And I want to encourage you to have faith to call out to him and say, Lord, would you restore me in this area of my life? And even though you do not think you're worth it, because you're not, none of us are, because he's a gracious God and a kind God and a loving and merciful God, he will do it. Isaiah 61 verse 7 said, instead of their shame, my people will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, they will rejoice in their inheritance, and so they will inherit a double portion in their land, and everlasting joy will be theirs. And may we receive a double portion. May you say, Lord, I call out to you, would you give me a double portion of your blessing? Would you give me a double portion of your favor? Selfish request, right? He wants to do that. Any loving Father, and you say, Lord, please would you pour out a double portion of your anointing on me, that I may affect this world. And boy, oh boy, can he do that? Yes, he can. The tragedy is that many Christians, and maybe even some of you, feel like that. Well, I stuffed up or I messed up in this area of my life. I'm not worthy of that. And I'll come back to that. No, we're not. But he's a merciful, gracious, kind, loving and forgiving God. And he can restore that. And he wants to. Do you remember Peter? The story of Peter. What did Peter do? Jesus warns him, you're going to deny me. Before the cock crows 3 times, you're going to deny me. Do you remember that story? Yep. He's warned. I mean, every one of us sitting here thinking, if I'm warned, I'm never going to do this. He was warned, yet he still did it. Peter still denied that he knew Jesus. At the time of testing, when the real testing, when the tacky hits the tar, what is going to happen with you? Will you stand up and be counted? And he crumbled. Jesus is put on the cross, but when he rises again, what does he do? Who does he go back to? He goes to Peter, and he goes and restores him. And he says, you are still called to be an apostle. That is to proclaim my name. Ooh, Is there no more fuel? He still goes